Peppa Pig and the Day at Snowy Mountain. Peppa and George wake up one day and look out the window. It's snowing! Hurrah! They can't wait to go outside. We'll go to Snowy Mountain, says Mummy Pig. But first you have to put on your hats and coats and mittens. Peppa and George are dressed and ready to go. Wait for Daddy Pig and me, says Mummy Pig. Snowy Mountain is fun, says Mummy Pig. We can go sledding and ice skating and skiing too. Daddy carries Peppa and George up the sledding hill. But they don't have a sled. Peppa has an idea. Whee! She says, a daddy sled. At the bottom of the hill is the skating rink.
Wow!
Let's skate, says Peppa. Peppa skates and falls and tries again. Mummy Pig helps. Peppa is skating.
Hooray!
Peppa helps George. He is a good skater. Everybody skates. That was fun, says Peppa. I'm ready for skiing. Peppa and George follow Mummy and Daddy Pig to the base of Snowy Mountain. What's that? asks Peppa. It's the ski lift, says Mummy. That's how we'll get to the top of the mountain. The ski lift takes them way up high. This is fun, says Peppa. She sings. In the air, in a chair, snow is falling everywhere. Flying high in a chair, flying high and high and high. It's very high, says Daddy. Daddy does not like heights. Don't look down, says Mummy. But Daddy does look down. He topples out of the ski lift. Where did Daddy Pig go? There you are, Daddy, says Peppa. You're a walking, talking snow daddy. Miss Rabbit runs a ski shop at the top of the mountain. Get your skis here, she calls. Mummy Pig, Daddy Pig, Peppa and George all get skis from Miss Rabbit. Madame Gazelle and Peppa's friends are all here. It's time to ski.
Hooray!
Danny Dog wants to ski all the way down the mountain. Oh no, says Madame Gazelle. Today we'll stick to the baby slope. Madame Gazelle shows everyone how to push off slowly to get started. Madame Gazelle is a very good skier.
Wow!
She shows everyone how she can ski fast. She can even jump.
Hooray!
It's Mummy Pig's turn. She has not skied for a very long time, but she remembers how. She doesn't want to ski down the baby slope. Mummy Pig pushes off down the mountain. Mummy Pig remembers how to ski, but she has forgotten how to stop. Stand back, she yells. She speeds down the mountain and past the shops. Oh no! How will she stop? Where is Mummy Pig? I see her, says Peppa. She's a walking, talking snow mummy. Skiing is fun. Everyone agrees. Let's go again, says Peppa. The end. Peppa Pig at the zoo. Madame Gazelle is taking Peppa and her friends to the zoo for the day. Remember, children, today we will be meeting wild animals, she says. Ooh, cry the children. Don't worry, says Madame Gazelle. The wild animals will be safely behind fences. Roar! Ah! A lion has escaped! Cries Madame Gazelle. Hello, I'm Mr. Lion, the zookeeper. You've picked a good time to visit, says Mr. Lion. It's feeding time. Wow. Which animals live here? Asked Susie Sheep. They move very slowly and live to be very old, says Madame Gazelle. Not all animals eat vegetables, says Madame Gazelle. That's right, Madame Gazelle, says Mr. Lion, grinning. Yes, well, says Madame Gazelle, who lives here? Hello, says Mrs. Crocodile. I'm the keeper in charge of this part of the zoo. Penguins, they eat fish. Ah, a crocodile, cries Madame Gazelle. Look, there's my daddy. He's a keeper at the zoo too, cries Gerald Giraffe. Hello, says Mr. Giraffe. Can you guess what animals I look after? They fly and get all their food from flowers. What are they? asked Peppa. Look carefully at the flowers, says Mr. Giraffe. Flutter, flutter, flutter. Ooh, pretty butterflies, say the children. Thank you for showing us around the zoo, says Madame Gazelle.
Hooray!
All this talk about food has made me hungry. Me too, laughs Mr. Lion. It's our feeding time now. What's for lunch today, Mr. Lion? asked Mrs. Crocodile. Can you guess? Roars Mr. Lion. Little picnics in boxes. Yummy! says Peppa. The end. Peppa Pig. Away we go. On the road. There is a lot to do in Peppa's Town. Daddy Pig, Mummy Pig, Peppa and George drive around town in their car. In the shop.
Wow!
Mr. Fox sells lots of fun things in his shop. Peppa would like to buy one of everything, please. At the construction site, Mr. Bull and his crew fix a pipe under the road. They dig the biggest hole that Peppa has ever seen.
Wow!
At the aquarium,
Wow!
the pig family visits the aquarium to see lots of different fish. Peppa wishes that she could swim like a fish. At the sports centre, exercise is extra fun when you do it with friends. Peppa loves to jump on the trampoline. At the petting farm, Peppa wants to pet the fuzzy guinea pigs. Mrs. Badger tells Peppa she must wash her hands first. inside the museum.
Wow.
The dinosaur room is George's favourite part of the museum. George likes to stomp and roar just like a dinosaur. At the pottery studio, Mrs. Zebra shows Peppa how to make a bowl out of clay. Peppa just wants to squish the clay between her fingers. After it rains, the children's festival is very muddy.
Hooray!
Peppa likes to dance with her friends. Everyone loves muddy puddles. At home, Peppa thinks about more places she can visit tomorrow. But first, Peppa and George need to go to sleep. The end. Peppa Pig and the Easter Rainbow. Peppa and George are going on an Easter egg hunt. I want to find lots of eggs, one in every colour, says Peppa. George finds the first egg. It is red. Peppa finds the next one.
Wow.
Look, George, it's orange. Mummy and Daddy Pig are hunting too. Mummy finds an egg in a colour she loves, yellow. Daddy Pig looks everywhere. I know there's an egg around here somewhere, he says. Oh, there we go, he says. A green egg for me. This is fun, says Peppa. She and George want to look for more eggs, but the grass is too high. Don't worry, Peppa, says Daddy. I'll mow it. Daddy gets out the lawnmower. He pushes. Crack, snap. Oh no! Oh no! Daddy Pig's lawnmower won't work. Maybe I can fix it, says Daddy Pig. I think we need help, said Mummy Pig. Here comes Grandpa Pig. His big lawnmower will cut that grass fast. Back and forth he goes. Now Peppa and George can look for more coloured eggs. Blue for George, indigo and violet for Peppa. Peppa, George, Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig have gathered a lot of Easter eggs. Drip, 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 drip. It starts to rain. Oh no! But then, just as quickly, the sun comes out. Do you know what happens when it's sunny and rainy at the same time? Asked Mummy Pig. I know, says Peppa. You get a rainbow. Everyone looks up. A beautiful rainbow stretches across the sky. Eh, says George. And do you know what's at the end of the rainbow? Asked Daddy Pig. Treasure, let's find it, shouts Peppa. Peppa and her family follow the rainbow in the car. Uphill and down. Peppa looks at the rainbow. She looks at the eggs. Look, she says. We found eggs in every colour of the rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet.
Wow.
Peppa makes an Easter egg rainbow. Daddy Pig points. I think the treasure is right over there. Everyone goes to the treasure. A great big muddy puddle for jumping. The end. Peppa's best birthday party. It was Mandy Mouse's birthday, and she was having her party at Cheese World.
Wow.
What is Cheese World, Mandy? Asked Peppa.
It's the most fun place ever,
Replied Mandy.
There's a cheese river and a cheese mountain, and best of all, there's a cheese castle.
Wow! Everyone gasped. When they arrived for the party, Mummy Mouse took Mandy and her friends to a huge cheese-shaped arch. Welcome to Cheese World, announced Miss Rabbit. Have any of you been here before?
I have.
Cried Mandy.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Oh, hello, Mandy, said Miss Rabbit. Nice to see you again. Everyone followed Miss Rabbit past some cheese trees and cheese bushes. So, said Miss Rabbit, everything at Cheese World is about cheese, cheered Mandy. That's right, said Miss Rabbit. And we'll start by sailing on the river of cheese. Mandy cheered again. When they got to the cheese river, 2 little cheese boats were waiting.
All aboard,
called Mandy. And hold tight, added Miss Rabbit, as the boats bobbed along. Miss Rabbit, said Peppa, are these boats made of real cheese? No, Peppa, replied Miss Rabbit. They are made from pretend cheese. Oh, said Peppa. We are now entering Cheese Mountain, said Miss Rabbit as they sailed inside a cave. Is it made of real cheese? Asked Peppa. No, replied Miss Rabbit. But this is what it would be like to sail through a cheese mountain.
Wow.
Ooh, cried Mandy and her friends. If cheese mountains existed, finished Miss Rabbit. After the boat ride, Mr. Rabbit showed the group his cheese aeroplane ride. Mandy explained what to do.
if you pull the lever, the plane goes up.
She said.
And if you push the lever, the plane goes down.
Once the children were safely in their airplanes, Mr. Rabbit started the ride. Up, up and away, he cried.
This is brilliant,
said Molly Mole.
Look, there's a sun made of cheese,
Mandy called.
and the clouds are cottage cheese,
Gasped Susie.
I can see the whole world, said Peppa. It's all cheese.
Was that fun? Asked Mummy Mouse once the children finished flying.
Yes!
Everyone cheered happily.
I told you Cheese World is the most fun place ever,
Cried Mandy. Next, it was time to visit the Castle of Cheese. Hello, Mandy, said Grampy Rabbit when they arrived at the entrance. Have you told your friends about my Castle of Cheese?
I told them it was the best bit,
said Mandy. It is,
said Grumpy Rabbit. It's where we get to smell real cheese. No pretend cheese here. Once they were inside, Grumpy Rabbit said, let's start by smelling a mild cheese. Molly and Pedro Pony both took a good sniff. Said Molly. This smells nice. I like it too, said Pedro. Grumpy Rabbit sniffed the cheese, but he didn't think it had any smell at all. Now for something a little bit stronger, said Grumpy Rabbit, taking the cover off a second piece of cheese. He took a big sniff. That's more like it, he said. A stinky one. Pedro sniffed the cheese. He cried. It smells like my daddy's socks. And now, said Grumpy Rabbit, it's time for the strongest cheese in the whole world. Grumpy Rabbit carefully lifted the cover off the third cheese and took a huge sniff. Now that's what I call cheese, he said. Next it was Mandy's turn to smell the super strong cheese. It's the nicest smell I've ever smelled, she said. You love smelling cheese, don't you, Mandy? Said Mummy Mouse. Yes, cried Mandy, but I love eating it even more. Funny you should say that, said Mummy Mouse. Mummy Mouse brought out a cake covered in candles.
Wow.
It's birthday cake time, she said. Cheesecake, gasped Mandy. My favourite. Hooray! Everyone cheered. This is the best birthday ever, cried Mandy.
Hooray!
And this is the best birthday party ever, said Peppa. Happy birthday, Mandy. The end. Peppa's Gym Class. Peppa and her friends are going to the gym today. Everybody has got their gym kit on, except Pedro. Pedro is wearing a superhero costume. I thought he was dressing up day today, he says. Grumpy Rabbit is the gym teacher. He swings down from the top of the climbing frame.
Wow.
Do we have to do that? Gasps Emily Elephant. No, laughs Grumpy Rabbit. That's only for big athletes like me. Let's warm up, shouts Grumpy Rabbit. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Everybody reaches up to the ceiling. Now wobble like a jelly, says Grumpy Rabbit. Everybody shakes like a jelly on a plate. It is time for the first adventure. I want you to pretend that this room is a jungle, whispers Grumpy Rabbit. But where are the trees? asks Susie Sheep. You'll have to pretend, replies Grumpy Rabbit. Now imagine a river, says Grumpy Rabbit. Walk on this beam to get across it. Peppa and her friends tiptoe across the river. Well done, my little explorers, cheers Grumpy Rabbit. Grumpy Rabbit shows the children how to swing across a swamp full of crocodiles. That's what he did when he was in the jungle. I can't see any crocodiles, says Pedro. You've got to pretend, whispers Peppa. What's our next adventure? asked Danny Dog. Grampy Rabbit points to a funny table. This is a vault, he says. Pretend that it's a dinosaur and crawl through its legs. Peppa and her friends start crawling. Madame Gazelle comes back in. Did you have a good gym class, children? She asks. Yes, cries Peppa. We made it through the jungle. You are real little explorers now, laughs Grumpy Rabbit. The end.
First words with Peppa Pig. Level 2, Mr. Fox's van. Meet Peppa, Freddy Fox and Mr. Fox.
Hooray!
Learn all, at, be, black, did, do, have, knew, there, they, under, want, white. Read, things, banjo, rope, petrol, bike. Freddy Fox had a new bike and a new hat. The hat was black and white. Freddy went to see Peppa with the new bike and the new hat. He put on the black and white hat. I have a new bike and a new black and white hat. They come from my dad's van, said Freddy Fox. Do you have a bell on the bike? Said Peppa. No, if I want a bell, my dad will have a new one in the van, said Freddy Fox.
Wow!
Mr. Fox has a lot of things in his van. They went to find Mr. Fox's van. Mr. Fox did have a new bell in the van. I had a bell in the back under the hats, said Mr. Fox.
Wow!
If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van. Do you have a cup in the van? Said Peppa. Mr. Fox did have a cup in there. Mr. Fox had lots of cups at the back under the bikes. You have a lot of things in the van, they all said. If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van, said Mr. Fox.
Hooray!
Do you have a banjo in the van? Said Peppa. Mr. Fox did have a banjo at the back under the cups.
Wow!
You have a lot of things in there, they all said. If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van, said Mr. Fox. Do you have a tree in the van? Said Peppa. Mr. Fox did have a tree in the van.
Wow!
Do you want this tree? It was at the back, under the lamp, said Mr. Fox.
Wow!
You have a lot of things in there, they all said. If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van, said Mr. Fox. Do you have a hen in the van? Said Peppa. Mr. Fox did have a hen in the van. I've got this black hen in a white box. It was at the back under the clock, said Mr. Fox.
Wow!
You have a lot of things in there, they all said. If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van, said Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox and Freddy went to the van. Mr. Fox has a lot of things in the van, said Peppa. If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van, they all said. The van did not go. One thing Mr. Fox did not have in the van was petrol. "Do you have a rope in the van?" said Peppa. Mr. Fox did have a rope in the van. "I have a lot of things in the van, but I must have petrol too," said Mr. Fox. The end. Peppa's Australian Underwater Adventure. Peppa was very excited. She had just won a Great Barrier Reef art competition at the aquarium. "Congrats, Peppa," said Miss Rabbit. "Your prize is to join me on a marine biology trip to Australia."
Wow.
"Hooray!" cheered Peppa. "What's marine biology?" "It's learning about the plants and animals that live in the sea," explained Miss Rabbit. "Ooh," said Peppa. "We're going to stay with Mrs. Kangaroo," continued Miss Rabbit. "She will teach us how to scuba dive in the Great Barrier Reef." "What an amazing prize for a competition," said Mummy Pig, a bit surprised. "Well, Peppa's drawing was very imaginative," said Miss Rabbit. "Her picture wasn't exactly like any fish I have ever seen, but it was a prize-winning picture." "I see," said Mummy Pig. "There's nothing wrong with a bit of imagination, is there?" "Of course, you, Daddy Pig and George will be coming to Australia too," Miss Rabbit told Mummy Pig. "How lovely," replied Mummy Pig. "Thank you, Mrs. Rabbit." Peppa and her family are very excited to be seeing their friends in Australia again.
Hooray!
"We'll be leaving first thing tomorrow," said Miss Rabbit. "Right then," said Mummy Pig. "We'd better head to the shops and get everything we need for the trip." Peppa, George, Mammy and Daddy Pig headed to Mr. Fox's shop and told him what they needed. Mr. Fox got everything out. "Now," he said, "I think you'll also need some paper and colouring pens. You never know when they might come in handy." "I'm not sure we do," began Mummy Pig. "Trust me, Mummy Pig," Mr. Fox interrupted. "You'll definitely need these." "Oh, okay then," said Mummy Pig. "Thank you for your help, Mr. Fox. We must get going now so we can pack all of this." The next morning, Peppa and her family woke up very early and hopped on the aeroplane to Australia. "Where's Miss Rabbit?" asked Daddy Pig. "I think she's finding her own way there," replied Mummy Pig. While Peppa, George, Mammy and Daddy Pig flew on an aeroplane, Miss Rabbit travelled to Australia by hot air balloon, helicopter and boat. Ahoy there! Amazingly, Miss Rabbit arrived in Australia at the exact same time as Peppa and her family. "Welcome to Australia, everyone," said Miss Kangaroo. "It's so good to see you," said Kylie Kangaroo, giving Peppa a big hug. After they were settled in, Mrs. Kangaroo went through the diving plan with Kylie, Peppa and Miss Rabbit. "There are so many amazing creatures to discover in the Great Barrier Reef," she explained. "It's an incredible place." Mrs. Kangaroo taught Peppa about diving and marine biology.
Wow.
What does buddy up mean? Asked Peppa. It means we are going to dive in a group, explained Miss Kangaroo. She held up a list of creatures they were going to see and count on their underwater adventure. Green sea turtles, orange clownfish, blue starfish, pink sea anemones, and even whales. Wow! Gasped Peppa. She was so excited. Mrs. Kangaroo drove everyone to the boat. Then they hopped on board with their diving gear and headed out to the diving site. When the boat stopped, Mrs. Kangaroo gave Peppa and Kylie a special underwater list each. It's important that we count the marine life carefully, she said. If you spot anything unusual, let me know. Then Peppa, Miss Rabbit, Kylie and Mrs. Kangaroo jumped backwards off the boat. They dived deep down under the water to the reef. The divers saw lots of amazing plants and animals on the reef. They spotted 5 orange clownfish, 4 pink sea anemones, 3 brilliant blue starfish, 2 big green turtles, and 1 enormous whale. Wow! Said Peppa. It's so colourful down here. Peppa and Miss Rabbit followed the whale further into the reef. Peppa used her diving fins to swim as fast as she could to keep up, and Miss Rabbit paddled along behind her. The whale pointed its fin at a big rock. Peppa peered behind the rock and saw a fish that wasn't on Mrs. Kangaroo's list, poking its head out. That looks just like the fish I coloured in, said Peppa. At the end of the dive, everyone climbed back on board the boat. We counted so many creatures, said Peppa excitedly. It was amazing. I also spotted a beautiful fish that wasn't on your list, Miss Kangaroo. What did it look like, Peppa? Asked Kylie. It looked a bit like a clownfish, said Peppa, but not exactly. Said Mrs. Kangaroo. Can you describe it a bit more, Peppa? Peppa used the colouring pens from Mr. Fox's shop to draw the fish she had seen. It looked just like her picture from the aquarium. Wow, that's a lovely fish, Peppa, said Kylie. Peppa is very good at drawing, said Miss Rabbit. I don't believe it, gasped Mrs. Kangaroo when she saw Peppa's drawing. It looks just like a rare blue clownfish.
Wow.
That hasn't been seen for a while now. Where did you spot it, Peppa? Peppa took everyone back to where she had seen the unusual fish. Mrs. Kangaroo had been searching for the blue clownfish for a long time. Peppa spotted the whale winking at her in the distance. Thank you for showing us the fish, lovely whale, Peppa said, winking back. After Mrs. Kangaroo had taken lots of photographs of the fish, she signalled for everyone to swim up to the boat and head back to the shore. That afternoon, Mrs. Kangaroo and her family cooked a big meal to celebrate Peppa's amazing discovery. What do you think of the Great Barrier Reef, Peppa? Asked Daddy Pig. It's the most brilliant place ever, replied Peppa. The fish are just like I imagined they would be. She held up her picture from the art competition. It looked exactly like the fish she had seen on her dive. Everyone laughed. Peppa loves the beautiful Great Barrier Reef. Everyone loves the beautiful Great Barrier Reef. The end. Peppa's Playdate. Today, Peppa is having a playdate at her house. Peppa has invited Mandy Mouse and Pandora and Peggy, the panda twins. Why don't you get some toys out, Peppa? Says Mummy Pig. Think about what your friends might like to play with. But I don't know what my friends will want to do, sighs Peppa, getting lots of toys out of the cupboard to take downstairs. Don't worry, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. I'll set up some crafts for you to do. And I'll set up some games for you to play, says Mummy Pig. Daddy Pig lays out all the craft things on the table. Perfect, he says. They'll love these, says Mummy Pig, setting up all the games in the living room. Ding dong! Just then, the doorbell rings. They're here, shouts Peppa, running to the door. Peggy, Pandora and Mandy all go into Peppa's house. Do you have a garden, Peppa? asks Mandy. Yes. Great, says Mandy. Come on everyone, let's go outside. The friends go to the garden and play lots of games. They play a game of princesses, pirates and giants. Uh-oh, gasped Peggy. I see a shadow of a big bad giant. Oh no! Ah! Everyone shouts. Snacks, anyone? Says Daddy Pig. Oh, it's you, Daddy, says Peppa. We thought you were a giant. Each playdate is the best and we want to stay here all day, says Pandora. Yes, we want to stay here all day, repeats Peggy. It's time for Mandy, Pandora and Peggy to go home, calls Mummy Pig. Aww, everyone sighs. But we didn't do your craft, Daddy, says Peppa, or play Mammy's games. That's okay. You made your own fun, didn't you? Says Daddy Pig. Yes! Everyone cheers. When Mandy, Peggy and Pandora all go home, Peppa asks, Can I have my friends over for a play date tomorrow, Mummy? Says Mummy Pig, looking at the mess. How about next week? Or you could go to Mandy's house for a play date, suggests Daddy Pig. Great idea, says Mummy Pig. Peppa loves play dates. Everyone loves play dates. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.